So it's that time of the year where Comters actually finally decides to make some changes to their game.
Do you drunken?
Which pretty much is kind of like Christmas for me as a content creator. And I just realized that I'm wearing the same shirt again. I'm not gonna change that anymore, fuck that. Alright, we're back again. Well, it turns out that the Kairos dungeons themselves are actually pretty hard to clear from what I can tell so far. Like, I just kind of went for my regular speed teams and tried to like clear them like that, and I don't really have 100% consistency. But they've not just made some major improvements when it comes to Kairos, they've also introduced 2 new dungeons for us to farm some new artifacts with, and as you guys can see right now, we actually already managed to clear the B10 for both of them on stream today. I think Melia is actually insane for this so far. So we cleared B10, but it's not like we're far away. Do you have the Dark Vampire Lord? Yeah, I do. Haven't you been around already? So basically we established that the Dark Vampire Lord's passive, AI is really dumb. And to kind of tell you guys the truth, I'm kind of underwhelmed when it comes to the Steel Fortress dungeon. It's pretty much just packing a Fran, a Lorne, and some sort of buff block in there. And for some fucking reason, Aegir is just a complete moron, which kind of makes me really not want to build him. And what we've seen so far is that the Punisher Crypt, with the whole speed mechanics, with the turn-based timer, where the longer the fight takes, the more scary it's actually going to be for us to fight it. A lot of people do seem to struggle with, and I'm already working on a guide, kind of like showcasing all of the stats that you need for it, building team compositions that do work. Like right now, honestly guys, I would really not look into the dungeon debates. I would really not look into which sort of monsters people use. Like, it's pretty much the same thing with Dimension Hole, where we still see units like Garrow rank as number 5. Again, there's a lot of endgame players in this game already, and just because they can make a team work doesn't necessarily mean that it's gonna be easy for you to replicate it. But bottom line is I'm already working on an in-depth guide on that one, which is gonna probably release over the next week or so. But the main reason why I want to make a video on this topic already, aside from just the easy clickbait, is gonna be that one of my friends, Inuo, she sent me a B10 team that is pretty easy accessible, and as you guys can see right now, like, it's already running in the background. Now pretty much the whole idea of it is going to be that she is stacking a lot of damage over time, and she's also combining that with, you've guessed it, the Light Lich, which I know, like, this team isn't fully free to play. I mean, of course you have units like Erika in there, which technically it's just a dot bot. If any one of you guys, which I know there's plenty around, has built the Water Homunculus, that would be a decent substitution for her, for instance, and at that point it's pretty much already free to play. So if you have the Light Lich, I can tell you guys for sure it's going to be a lot easier for you to replicate these sort of teams. He reduces the rune requirements by a shit ton, and if you can kind of like abuse that, go for it. I don't really know if that is going to be in the game for too long. Like, I don't know, like, do you guys think that this is overpowered? Do you guys think that this should get kind of nerfed? Like, if we go to the actual boss fight itself, like I said, I mean, it's pretty much just full of a lot of multi-heads and just like a shit ton of turns that the boss and the towers take. Yeah, I don't know, like, do you want to like have the full run? Because it's gonna take a while. Like, it's gonna take a while. The boss is already taking the Light Lich down a little bit. We don't have any more dots. So pretty much, despite what I said earlier, like, even though she did bring like a full team comp, it pretty much just was meant to increase the speed during the actual trash stages. So I think you might even want to, like, let's say double Lucian Galleon those instead, just to get to the point where you actually start having the boss fight. And that's going to be the point where the Light Lich is going to carry over. Now I will be showcasing the runes in just a second after this run. So if you guys have a Light Lich, I think he's pretty easy to rune. He doesn't need Violent Runes. He doesn't need any speed whatsoever. And as you guys can see, he's dealing with this boss fight pretty well, and of course, like, while this is not going to be something that you want to replicate for too long, like, you really do not want to like take this team for like a year or so in it, especially for the first couple of weeks where there isn't going to be too many people actually running high-end artifacts. This might give you the edge, okay? So that might be a decent choice. I think when it comes to the roam build, I would probably recommend something like at least one revenge offset just to finish off the boss if you do not get the turn, which, as you guys can see, like, it's very hard for the Rigel actually to even get a turn at this point. No, actually he is getting some turns. He is getting some turns. And yeah, as you guys can see, it's probably going to take like 6 minutes or 7 minutes. We'll see. It is even faster than my first Giants team back in the day. Now that is the room build that she is using on her Halphas. It's a pretty standard AD Halphas with triple HP Despair Revenge. So you don't even have to swap any room builds. He does have 70% resistance, and for this boss fight in particular, like, I don't really think that he has armor break, so it doesn't even matter how much resistance he has, which makes the rune requirement for this strategy like extremely low, which is the reason why I wanted to showcase it quickly before posting any other guides. But since I personally do not own a Halphas myself, I did have to kind of like try and min-max and wiggle my way through B10. Right now I really do not feel comfortable posting videos on it yet, but we will do a lot more testing over the next couple of days on stream, as well as like actually today in about 1 or 2 hours from posting this video I will be live, so I would fucking love it if you guys could show up. And overall I'm just kind of curious what you guys think about this update. Which sort of team comps do you run? Are you kind of underwhelmed? Like, I personally wanted to see some major changes when it comes to the old Kairos dungeons, and it turns out they basically just gave them better stats without actually changing any of the mechanics, swapping out any of the towers from what I can tell so far. But it kind of just felt like that's the cherry on top that they've added to this update to allow people to catch up with room builds that endgame players have been farming for like the last year or so. I genuinely feel like the last year of farming for me personally will be nullified by the next month of me farming already. And I think as the last thing, I might as well just mention it right now. I already talked about it on stream. I can't test this. Why would you do that? That is so dumb. I'm pretty underwhelmed by the Dimensional Hole Predator with him not having test mode enabled. I mean, it's a boss fight that is all about strategy, and then it's like the one dungeon in the Dimensional Hole where you're not allowed to actually test around a little bit. Like, I really do not like seeing that, honestly. What's your guys' take on that? I know Taki has been like kind of shit talking me for having this sort of like casual approach to it.
Tell commenters to add test mode. The thing is, I don't want them to add test mode, Sample. I want people to pay to complete it. Fuck test mode. Sample, shut the fuck up. Fuck test mode.
I mean, it is a boss that like everyone can clear. It is a boss that is, from what I've heard so far, somewhat easy as long as you kind of know the strats, but Jesus Christ, like, just fucking give us test mode. But yeah, anyways, I think this is pretty much gonna be it. And yeah, until then, see you guys in my next video. Bye.